Welcome back to the Disturbing Illusion channel. I have something very interesting right here coming from Vivek Ramaswamy. Interesting, but not encouraging. And the reason I'm saying this is not encouraging is because we know Vivek Ramaswamy to be an abject liar. He has lied about pretty much everything. He's laid some massive cover for Donald Trump in an attempt to lie for him. So I don't expect the Trump administration, and I don't expect any administration to follow through on any promise. Why? Because they're thespians, they're politicians, they're actors. They don't know. They're dangling from the end of a bankster central banking corporate string coming out of the RNC or coming out of the DNC. It makes no difference. It's two wings of the same bird of prey, yada, yada, yada. We all know this. And I like Clint Russell here, but I just think that he's being... it's not reality. This is not reality. He says, and this is a post on the X platform, Clint Russell says, it's very easy to lose sight of the progress we've made. Never in my life have we had abolishing the income tax being seriously discussed, much less one of the rising stars in the GOP laying out the chronology of its creation like Vivek does here. Again, I don't pin my hopes on any liar. And some people could say, Brian, you're such a Debbie Downer. You're always so negative. We have to live in the land of reality. Politicians lie. That's all they do. We all know that's all they do. Read my lips, no new taxes. Read my lips, we're going to end the income tax. It's not going to happen. Do I want it to happen? Of course I want it to happen. We're going to listen to Vivek Ramaswamy talk to this college student who is basically a tax guy, which Vivek Ramaswamy is going to say he respects, which is crazy to me because taxation is theft. At the barrel of a government gun, it's more accurately described as extortion. So we have extortion being talked about as something that's going to be removed from the table. Why is it not going to happen? Because the lifeblood of the state is taxation coming from income tax. We have to make sure the tax cattle work so that we can extract the product of their time and labor so that the beast can live. But listen to what Vivek Ramaswamy says here.
Student here, but I also work as a full-time tax accountant, and I'm
all right. I respect that. I like that. I had a full-time job in law school too, and I know how hard it is to balance those things. Yeah. So, well done.
Well, yes. Well, Trump was talking about eliminating the income tax, and I just wanted to know how that's going to affect the tax law and how it would affect people who are in jobs like mine.
So it's going to be one of the most ambitious things that Donald Trump's taken on, and I think it's obviously going to require Congress to achieve.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a great step. He got my attention when he said that, right? Keep in mind, for most of our national history, we didn't have an income tax. The income tax is actually a relatively recent invention. And the longer this government exists, the more of these inventions you get. So here's actually a sequence of events in history. First of all, we get the income tax right at the turn of the 19th century into the 20th century. After that, you see Woodrow Wilson becomes the president. You see the
Before he continues with Woodrow Wilson and FDR, it's important to note that in 1913, the income tax came in with the 16th Amendment, which allowed Congress to reach into our pockets and whatever percentage they deemed was necessary to take for the life of the state, that's what they were going to take. So with the 16th Amendment, they actually codified it in the Constitution and made it part of the amendment process. The second thing is we got the central banking cartel known as the Federal Reserve. The third thing is the same thing that happened in 1913. We didn't just get the Federal Reserve and the income tax. We got the IRS, the domestic terror cell known as the IRS. Those things need to be taken care of immediately. Prioritizing this is number one. Number one, we need to take care of the Federal Reserve. We have to institute a sound money system. Now, how do we do that? Do we convert that to gold, silver, palladium, and precious metals? Is there enough gold, silver, palladium, and precious metals to cover for the national debt? Is the national debt something that we should just write off and not pay for? Are there ramifications for that? What do we do about the dollar? Can we do something with cryptocurrencies? There's a whole lot of things, a whole lot of options on the table, but what we know one thing that we need is sound money. We need an honest money system where central bankers and the central banking cartel cannot print money into existence out of thin air. It has to constrain their power of printing money, because the more money they print, the more the M2 money supply is diluted. The more it's diluted, the more the value of the dollars in your pocket get devalued, and your time and laboring energy is actually stolen by people who don't even have to come into your house to steal it. All they have to do is devalue your dollar and skim everything off the top. So priority number one for any administration, and for them to prove that they are not working for the central banking cartel, is to eliminate the central banking cartel, to pull the rug out from underneath them and take away their power to print money. We need a sound, honest money system, number one. Number two, we need to eliminate the domestic terror cell known as the IRS. If you are not free to keep 100% of your income on American soil, you are not free. So the Federal Reserve needs to be eliminated. The IRS needs to be eliminated. The income tax needs to be eliminated. And on the other side of the scale, they need to stop their wasteful spending. What do you think the odds are of those four things happening? The elimination of the Fed, the elimination of the IRS, the elimination of the income tax, and stop wild federal spending, and dissolve the positions, all these wasteful positions and all these alphabet soup agencies. Do you really think the Donald Trump administration is going to do that? If you believe that, I have a couple of ice cubes to sell a couple of Eskimos out there. It ain't going to happen. They're not interested in buying your ice cubes, and politicians are not interested in fulfilling their promises. Let's listen to some more of this.
Both of the administrative state, then you get FDR, the entitlement state, then you get LBJ, combining both of those into this cancer we live in today. The income tax came first. Yeah. So if you feed the beast is going to find new things to do that it shouldn't have done in the first place. So part of eliminating the income tax is not just giving Americans the chance to live the American dream. And actually, this one's personal to me, right? Because it's like a treadmill. My parents, they came from nothing. They came to this country with no pennies. I founded multi-billion-dollar companies to be a self-made billionaire before I'm 40. But one of the things that makes that a lot slower is that 40% of it or 35% of it goes out the door every time. It demotivates a lot of people from working. Yeah. It's not just that, though.
Vivek Ramaswamy speaks a lot of truth here. He doesn't just speak these truth. He does it in an articulate, simple, common man understandable way, and people get what he's saying, and he comes across as a really friendly, knowledgeable kind of guy. But this is all part of this deception, because like I said, for the last couple of years we've seen Vivek Ramaswamy just all of a sudden appear on the scene. Nobody ever heard of him. Now everybody's heard of him, and he does nothing but lie. So what he's saying, he's spewing a lot of truth here, but are they going to follow through with these promises?
It's even worse than that, is that it actually feeds the regulatory state. The deep state is funded by the existence of those taxes flowing in. So part of you want to kill that beast, you got to starve that beast too. So for two reasons, I think it's a great policy he started to talk about. It's not been a core focus of this presidential election. Let him do the first thing he needs to do in the first year, fire 75% of those federal bureaucrats.
Did you hear what he just said? It's not been a core focus. Why? Why isn't it a core focus? You want to be a populist, right? One of the most popular things that you could possibly do is say, hey, guess what? Every American, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, it doesn't matter. You're going to keep 100% of everything you go out to attempt to earn. Why wouldn't that be a core focus? So he just downplayed it. Not a core focus. That gives them plausible deniability when they don't ever get around to taking care of the income tax. Well, it wasn't a core focus, so we just didn't do it. Bunch of crazy political doublespeak here.
Send them packing. That's how you drain the swamp. And then you get to the second step of saying we're not going to feed that beast to recreate itself. And believe me, I'm in favor of that. So thank you, brother.
Thanks.
We're going to back this up because I didn't hear that second part of what he said.
It's even worse than that, is that it actually feeds the regulatory state. The deep state is funded by the existence of those taxes flowing in. So part of you want to kill that beast, you got to starve that beast too. So for two reasons, I think it's a great policy he started to talk about. It's not been a core focus of this presidential election. Let him do the first thing he needs to do in the first year, fire 75% of those federal bureaucrats, send them packing. That's how you drain the swamp.
Well, he didn't drain the swamp the first time. Do you really expect him to drain the swamp the second time? Don't expect it. Don't hold your breath. Don't look for it. He's going to lie and he's not going to do it. Do you really think 75% of the federal workforce is going to be shown the door? I bet not. Lay your bets on the table.
And then you get to the second step of saying we're not going to feed that beast to recreate itself. And believe me, I'm in favor of that. So thank you, brother.
Thanks so
I appreciate
much.
it. And let me just say one more thing. Give me a tax accountant?
Yes.
So let me tell you, this is good news for the country, and it's going to be good news for you, too. Right now, we have a very complicated tax code that requires smart guys like you to do it.
So I have a job.
If you eliminate the income tax, that means that you may find a different profession in 10 years. That's actually a good thing for you and for our country, too. But in the meantime, keep doing what you're doing, and I'm proud of it.
Keep doing what you're doing. So Vivek Ramaswamy, I mean, I'm sorry to disagree with Clint. I do disagree with him on a fundamental level. The first level, number one, never, ever trust a politician. Now, I know people are out there going, well, Trump's not a politician. He's an outsider. He's going to come in and drain the swamp. Guys, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, power and wealth transfer happened under the Donald Trump administration. And when I say the biggest, I mean the biggest in the world, not just the biggest in this country. $6.2 trillion for the CARES Act. $4 trillion was a Federal Reserve backstop, which just completely evaporated. That should rightly be put on the national debt of $8.4 trillion in 4 years from Donald Trump. Should be $12.4 trillion, which far eclipses the debt, the national debt that Obama got us in 8. Trump did it in 4. Don't believe these charlatans. We have got to stop doing what we've been doing. If we don't, we're going to keep getting what we've been getting. And what is that? More tyranny. So I disagree with Clint. I disagree with the redheaded libertarian. I disagree. Do I think that they're bad people? No, not at all. I think we could all sit down and have dinner and drinks together. I think it'd be fine. And I don't think there are enemies, and I think they mean well. And I think that a lot of times Americans want to, and I'm not even saying this is wrong, operate on hopium. Oh, I hope Donald Trump does this. Yeah, I hope Donald Trump eliminates the income tax and the IRS and the Federal Reserve and cuts all the wasteful spending in the government too. But he's not going to do it. How do you know? Because he has a pattern. He didn't do it the first time, and I would be a fool to think that he was going to do that this time. What do you think? Do you think he's going to do this? Do you think Donald Trump is going to cut the income tax, cut the Federal Reserve, the IRS, and eliminate 75% of government's wasteful spending? I don't think he's going to do it. Put our bets on the table. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell notification icon. Give it a thumbs up. Share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. If you want to support the channel further, grab a shirt, become a channel member, but more importantly, understand that the price of freedom is now and will always be eternal vigilance, and indifference to this notion is the means by which the people have and will secure their own oppression. Let's stop securing our own oppression, and let's start today. I'll see you in the next video.